Welcome to Anything Hospitality, the podcast where African hospitality stories are told. From kitchens to boardrooms, from five-star hotels to Airbnbs and holiday homes, from fine dining restaurants to street food stalls. This is Anything Hospitality. Thank you for the engagement so far. And we're loving what you're doing, and we do hope that you're also loving what we are doing. Today's session, we'll be looking at some of the key performance matrices or indices or terminologies, if you would want to call them, within the hospitality landscape. Remember, our discussions not only focus on the high-level hospitality businesses, but anybody or anyone within the hospitality space. If you're running an Airbnb, our content will be highly relevant with what you're doing. So today we will be looking at some of the key terminologies that would really have an impact for you to understand how they are measured and what they mean within the hospitality landscape. If you're running an accommodation business, before we get to the terminologies, it's important to know that in any hospitality business, accommodation gives or produces 80 to 85% revenue generation. This being the case, accommodation then appears to be one of the most crucial aspects or components of revenue generation within this business. We get to what we need to discuss, some of the key terminologies within the hospitality space. If you're running your accommodation business, you should be familiar with what we refer to as ADR or ARR. It might seem obvious to somebody who's been in the hospitality space, but not too obvious for an entrepreneur who've decided to venture into the hospitality landscape. ADR stands for the average daily rate or average room rate if you choose to go the ARR way. The average daily rate is a representation of the average rate that you're selling each specific room. We might have to have a detailed session of how do we calculate ADR and why it is important. As we progress on, we also have occupancy. Occupancy is usually represented as a percentage, and it is simply calculated or measured by the number of nights occupied out of the total inventory. For instance, if you have just one unit in a 30-day month, then your inventory is 30. Your availability for that month is 30 nights. If you had 15 nights occupied within the 30-day month, then your occupancy will be 50%, which is simply 15 divided by 30 to give you the 50%. That is occupancy. Proceeding on, we have a RevPAR. This is revenue per available room. The difference between RevPAR and ADR is with RevPAR, you will divide the total revenue you have generated out of the total inventory, including the rooms that were not sold or the nights that were not occupied. So hypothetically, you want to have an analysis of the room that you didn't sell, potentially from the revenue generated. How much did that specific room generate? We also have TREVPAR, TREVPAR, which is total revenue per available room. So if you're in a hotel establishment, you will have to take your total revenue generated divided by the number of rooms available to potentially give you the revenue that ought to have been generated for each room that is available within your establishment. And we also have a RevPAC. This is revenue per available customer. And the reason why RevPAC is important is because it will give us an analysis or assessment of the spending power or the spending capability of the customers who are coming into the establishment. Case in point, you have 200 customers within a specific time frame, and the revenue you've generated during that specific period is $200,000. So to get your revenue per available customer, you will get your $200,000 divided by the 200 customers, which gives you $1,000. The reason why this metric is highly crucial or important is because it will guide you into getting to understand or knowing whether clients are spending within your establishment. If they're not willing to spend within the establishment, then something needs to be looked into. You need to find or come up with loyalty programs or incentives to make them spend more. So with tracking a RevPAC progressively, you can easily tell or know how willing the customers are willing to spend within the establishment. When we come to systems, we have something like the PMS, which is a property management system. We have our RMS, standing for the revenue management system. We have CRM, which is a customer relationship management system. There's a lot to learn in terms of the abbreviations that we use within the hospitality landscape. They cannot be fully covered in one episode. This is just a snippet of what's on the table. And as we progress on, we'll be having webinars or sessions where we engage you, our audience, to get to understand all these abbreviations, what they stand for, which departments they're aligned with or aligned to. And with these, you'll have gotten quite a wealthy of knowledge to be able to run your hospitality business. This has been Anything Hospitality, Africa's home to bold ideas and authentic conversations around the world of hospitality within the African landscape. Stay informed, stay connected, and keep the doors open. See you on the next episode.